The world's 10 richest countries control more wealth than the bottom 100 combined. But that's not the story. The real story is what's happening at the other end. Countries where the average person lives on less than $2 a day. This isn't about statistics. These are real places, real people. This is the ranking of the world's 10 poorest countries based on GDP per capita. And what you'll discover is that poverty isn't random. There's a pattern, and it's darker than most people realize. Number 10, Sierra Leone. GDP per capita approximately $480. Sierra Leone sits on the west coast of Africa. It has diamonds, gold, rutile, iron ore, one of the richest resource bases in Africa. Yet its people are among the poorest on earth. Why? 10 years of civil war from 1991 to 2002. A conflict fueled by blood diamonds. Rebel forces funded by diamond smuggling committed some of the worst atrocities of the late 20th century. Entire villages massacred. The war ended, but the institutions were gone, the infrastructure destroyed, and the resource wealth? Much of it flows to foreign companies and corrupt officials rather than the people. Sierra Leone then faced the 2014 Ebola outbreak, one of the worst in history. It killed thousands and collapsed the healthcare system when it was just beginning to recover. Today, 60% of the population lives below the poverty line. Life expectancy is 54 years. But there are signs of improvement. Slowly, the diamonds are still there. The question is who benefits. Number 9, Mozambique. GDP per capita approximately $460. Mozambique gained independence from Portugal in 1975, then immediately descended into a civil war that lasted until 1992. 17 years of conflict that killed over 1 million people and displaced 5 million more. When peace finally came, Mozambique started rebuilding. Progress was being made. Then in 2021, an ISIS-linked insurgency erupted in the northern Cabo Delgado province, the same region where massive natural gas deposits worth hundreds of billions of dollars were just discovered. Foreign companies came for the gas. Insurgents came for power and resources. The local population got caught in between. Over 1 million people displaced again. An entire region that should have been transformed by energy wealth instead became a war zone. Mozambique also sits in one of the most cyclone-prone regions on Earth. Cyclone Idai in 2019 killed over 1,000 people and caused $2 billion in damage to an economy that could barely afford it. Resources, conflict, and natural disasters. The same pattern over and over. Number 8, Madagascar. GDP per capita approximately $440. Madagascar is an island nation off the east coast of Africa. It's biologically unique. Over 90% of its wildlife exists nowhere else on Earth. Lemurs, baobab trees, chameleons. It should be an ecotourism paradise. Instead, it's one of the poorest places on Earth. 80% of the population lives below the poverty line. The south of the island regularly faces famine conditions that experts call climate famine, caused not by conflict or corruption, but purely by changing rainfall patterns. Madagascar has suffered repeated political crises, military coups, constitutional disputes. Each crisis scares away investors, collapses development programs, and sets back recovery by years. Deforestation has destroyed much of the natural wealth. Slash-and-burn agriculture, driven by poverty, destroys the very forests that could generate sustainable income through ecotourism. Number 7, Niger. GDP per capita approximately $430. Niger is landlocked in the Sahara, one of the hottest countries on Earth, already facing extreme environmental challenges, and climate change is making it worse. The Lake Chad Basin has shrunk by 90% since the 1960s. Farmland is disappearing under advancing desert. Niger has the world's highest fertility rate, 7.3 children per woman on average. The population is doubling every 18 years. More people competing for fewer resources in a harsher environment. Niger has uranium, significant deposits. French nuclear power plants run partly on Niger's uranium. But in 2023, a military coup overthrew the civilian government. France and the West withdrew support. A country already on the edge became more isolated. The Sahel region surrounding Niger is experiencing what experts call the worst humanitarian crisis in the world right now. Millions facing famine, millions displaced by conflict, and a climate that makes agriculture increasingly impossible. Number 6, Malawi. GDP per capita approximately $420. Malawi is a small, landlocked country in southern Africa with no significant natural resources. No oil, no diamonds, no gold, just fertile land and Lake Malawi, one of the world's largest freshwater lakes. 84% of the population depends on agriculture. When the rains are good, Malawi has enough food. When they fail, which is increasingly often due to climate change, famine follows. Malawi has made progress in education and health indicators over the decades. But debt is crushing. The country owes more to international creditors than it can ever realistically repay. Debt service payments take money that should go to hospitals and schools. Cyclone Freddy in 2023 was one of the longest-lasting tropical cyclones ever recorded. It crossed Malawi twice, killing over 1,000 people and destroying crops that the country desperately needed. They're doing almost everything right. But geography, climate, and debt conspire against them. Now we're entering the top 5. The 5 poorest countries on Earth. Number 5, Sudan. GDP per capita approximately $380. Sudan was already one of the poorest countries when war erupted in April 2023. Two military factions, the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, began fighting for control of the government. The result is one of the worst humanitarian disasters in the world. Over 10 million people displaced. The largest displacement crisis on Earth. Khartoum, the capital city, became a battlefield. Hospitals were bombed. Markets were destroyed. The country that was already struggling is now in freefall. Sudan has fertile agricultural land in the Nile region. It has oil in the south, though South Sudan took most of it when it became independent in 2011. There's potential, but conflict consumes everything. The pattern is consistent. Resources attract power struggles. Power struggles become wars. Wars destroy the resources that could have helped people, and the civilians pay the price. Number 4, Democratic Republic of Congo. GDP per capita approximately $340. The Democratic Republic of Congo has more natural resources than almost any country on Earth. Cobalt, coltan, gold, diamonds, copper. Congo has 70% of the world's cobalt, a mineral essential for electric car batteries and smartphones. Every Tesla, every iPhone depends partly on Congolese minerals. Yet the average Congolese person earns less than $1 a day. The country has been in various states of conflict since independence from Belgium in 1960. Eastern Congo has seen continuous warfare for decades. Militias fight over mines. The government can't control its own territory. Colonial Belgium extracted Congo's wealth brutally for generations. The infrastructure they left was designed to move resources out, not to serve the population. Roads went from mines to ports, not between cities. Today, multinational companies extract minerals under licenses from a government that can't protect its own citizens. The minerals leave. The money largely doesn't stay, and the people remain desperately poor. Congo's poverty isn't from lack of resources. It's from who controls those resources and who benefits. Number 3, Somalia. GDP per capita approximately $310. Somalia hasn't had a functioning central government since 1991. Over 3 decades of statelessness, clan warfare, Islamic insurgency, and piracy. Al-Shabaab, an al-Qaeda-affiliated group, controls large parts of southern Somalia. They tax businesses, recruit fighters, and conduct terrorist attacks. The government controls Mogadishu and little else. Despite this, Somali society has shown remarkable resilience. Informal markets function. Remittances from the Somali diaspora, estimated at $2 billion per year, keep many families alive. Mobile money systems have made Somalia surprisingly advanced in digital finance, partly because there was no formal banking system to compete with. But over 70% of the population is in poverty, recurrent droughts, flooding, and a security situation that prevents any sustained development. Somalia is proof that state collapse doesn't just create poverty. It preserves it generation after generation. Number 2, Central African Republic. GDP per capita approximately $250. The Central African Republic has been called the world's most forgotten crisis. Sandwiched between better-known conflicts in Sudan, Congo, and the Sahel, CR barely makes international news despite being one of the most dangerous places on Earth. Since 2013, the country has been engulfed in civil war between a Muslim coalition called Salika and Christian self-defense groups called anti-Balaka. The conflict has ethnic and religious dimensions that make resolution almost impossible. CAR has diamonds, gold, uranium, and timber. In theory, enough resources to be wealthy. In practice, armed groups control the mines. Revenue funds weapons, not development. Russian mercenaries from the Wagner Group are present, ostensibly to stabilize the country. In practice, they're accused of human rights abuses and gaining access to mining resources. The United Nations peacekeeping mission has been there for over a decade. The situation is no better. And number one is the country that has topped this list consistently for years. The country where poverty is so extreme it defies comprehension. Number one, Burundi. GDP per capita approximately $220. Burundi, a tiny landlocked country in Central Africa. 12 million people. Almost no natural resources. And the lowest per capita income of any country on Earth. Burundi has a history of catastrophic ethnic violence between Hutu and Tutsi populations, similar to Rwanda next door. But while Rwanda rebuilt successfully after the 1994 genocide, Burundi never stabilized. Political violence in 2015 triggered a new crisis. Hundreds of thousands fled. The economy collapsed. 85% of Burundians are subsistence farmers. They grow what they eat and eat what they grow. When the rains fail, they go hungry. There's no safety net, no government welfare system, no food banks. Healthcare is almost non-existent. Malaria kills thousands every year. A child born in Burundi has a life expectancy of 57 years. 1 in 14 children dies before age 5. There's almost no electricity. Over 90% of the population has no access to power. At night, the country goes dark. Literally. And yet, Burundians are among the most generous and community-oriented people in the world. They share what little they have. Family networks support the most vulnerable. Music, particularly drumming, is a national art form. The Burundian drummers are UNESCO recognized as cultural heritage. In one of the poorest places on Earth, there is beauty and dignity. But that doesn't change the numbers. $220 per person per year. Less than 60 cents per day. So there it is. The world's 10 poorest countries in 2026. And the pattern is unmistakable. 8 of the 10 are in Africa. Most have significant natural resources. Most experienced European colonization that extracted wealth without building institutions. Most have faced prolonged conflict. And most are dealing with climate change impacts that hit hardest where there's least capacity to cope. Poverty is not an accident. It's the result of history, geography, conflict, and a global economic system that often takes more than it gives. The resources to end extreme poverty exist. The world has never been wealthier. The question is whether there's the will to change the systems that keep these countries at the bottom. What do you think is the biggest factor? And if you want to see more geopolitical analysis and global rankings, hit subscribe. There's a lot more to understand about how our world really works.